I've been in combat my whole life. I was in, point fighting, karate, and then now I'm here at the boxing club UW-Madison. I joined after freshman year. Freshman year was super tough for me. I felt like I need to get back to what my roots were. So it gave me discipline. So it gave me confidence and taught me self-defense. It gave me the chance to be able to find my own voice. You see that? So in our old gym, the mat that just got tore down, we used to have all these flags of the NCAA history that the boxing club used to have, and it really used to help you measure up, saying that's the bar, that's the standard.
The Badgers won their first team championship in 1939 and subsequently won 7 more. They could fit 14,000 fans into the University of Wisconsin Fieldhouse, which was more than they could get in for basketball, because of course they would put chairs on the basketball floor, and they sold it out. There's a one night, I forget the year, but there was one night when Joe Louis was defending his heavyweight championship at Madison Square Garden in New York, and he drew 11,000. That fight drew 11,000 fans. Well, Wisconsin, for a dual boxing match in Madison, actually outdrew the heavyweight champion of the world. I would tell people this, and they would look at me, and their jaws would drop. The peak was probably in the 40s and early 50s, and both in Madison and around the country, for a few reasons, college varsity boxing started to decline. One reason was because professional boxing had become pretty mobbed up, if you will. There were a lot of headlines about it, congressional investigations into professional boxing. And fairly or not, and I would suggest not, college boxing kind of got linked with that. Also, Sports Illustrated magazine wrote an article about the decline of college boxing in the 1950s, and the headline was, "You could blame it on the moms." And this was the idea that it's an unsafe sport. Mothers don't want their sons participating in it. A third prong of the decline was academia. This is not a sport that we're an institution of higher learning. This is not a sport we want to condone or certainly not promote. You get all those arguments together, and across the country, schools were dropping their boxing programs, attendance was declining. In Madison, it was less, the decline, because it was so popular here, and they continued to field very strong teams. The NCAA tournament had been held in Madison a few times over the course of those 25 years, and it was scheduled again in 1960. Charlie Moore was in the finals. He had won at his weight class a year earlier, and now he was fighting in 1960 in Madison, a fighter from San Jose State named Stu Bartell. And in the second round, he got hit hard, Charlie Moore did, by Bartell, and didn't go down immediately, is my recollection, but pretty shortly after that did, and but he got up, and but the referee ended up stopping the fight, and Moore then went back under his own power, walked back to the locker room, and sat down on a stool, and very shortly after that, slipped off the stool and into a coma. And he died 8 days later on Easter Sunday. And within a month or so, the University of Wisconsin Board of Regents had voted to end varsity boxing. And within months after that, the NCAA had dropped its tournament.
Honestly, I don't think NCAA boxing is ever going to be another thing. I hope that the boxing club can grow to a size can grow in institution complexity. We're putting in the work, and I'm an eternal optimist. So I believe that things are going to get better. I truly do, and I think we're just progressing. One batch after another batch after another batch of great officers that we've just had. Last year's was great. This year's is great. Next year's about to be great, and I cannot be more proud of the people that I've been. I mean, we're not like a bunch of fools running around trying to hit people. We are smart, accomplished people, and you look at the presidents before me, and the people coming after. There's the thing about boxing is because it's a lot more intense. The risks are definitely larger, but at the same time, that in itself requires of people who are in it more honesty, more more transparent, and more welcoming, because and this isn't a game where we play. You don't play the sport of boxing, we fight. And that itself, maybe it's a turn off to a lot of people, that aspect of it. But then I say to you, what is most other sports, other contact sports?
I interviewed a lot of the Wisconsin boxers, but they were almost to a man in my interviews positive about their experience, and they would be quick to draw an analogy to football, and say, yeah, they're both dangerous, but I want to be looking at the guy who's going to put a big blow on me.
As much as it might not seem this way, it's a really high IQ sport, and that you've got to be able to pinpoint, pick your angles. You've got to be able to pinpoint where you're going to throw your shots, how you're going to defend. A lot of really specific and intentional movements that you'll have to make when you're in the middle of a fight, and also having to deal with getting hit at the same time. All of that's going to be happening on the fly in order for you to be able to win.
I think what draws people to this, people to boxing, and has people say we need to have this back, is because part of us, we all realize what the sport has brought to us and what it brings to a lot of people.
I would say that the majority of them had fairly hard scrabble upbringings. I could even mention names of the NCAA. Dick Bartman, he was an NCAA champion. He grew up really tough in Milwaukee. He told me a story of being shot in the head when he was 10 years old.
I've seen people come in broken to our gym. I've seen people come in who have been through hell and back. Many of our officers are ourselves. We're all broken. And what it means to get in there, find a little bit of ourselves and find a little bit of comfort. That part of it is what keeps people coming back.
If you're a club boxer here in Madison at the University of Wisconsin, you've got a great legacy to draw on.
I think this club can go places, and I'm hopeful, and I will be part of that. And I know, and even as I go, I'll be engaged. We're starting an alumni network right now. We're starting an alumni foundation. We're starting all the stuff that needs to be to take this club to the next level, to make it a force, not just in Madison, but across the U.S.